It is the Ringer Gambling Show here on this opening day of the NFL season. I'm the prop queen, Ariel Epstein, excited to be here at our Spotify studios for the Ringer. And joining me today, because we know we are all about making the money here at the Ringer Gambling Show. And to do that, I'm being joined today by my good friends, John Jastremski and Raheem Palmer. The difference is those two are out in Viva Las Vegas. They abandoned me here in New York City. So at least I hope that JJ's making some money out there in Vegas. How much have the Vegas guys stolen from you?
Way too much, Ariel, unfortunately, for my liking. First of all, it is great to have you aboard. We're going to kick ass every Thursday. This team is ready to rock and roll, so it's great to have you as a part of the Ringer family, number one. And hopefully, the week one card is going to treat me a heck of a lot better than the craps tables did at the variety of Vegas casinos. But, Raheem, we had a hell of a dinner at least. And, Raheem, we're ready to rock and roll. But more importantly, Ariel, you got to lead us. We need good vibes from you. Let's go.
I hope that there's good vibes on the table for at least our guy Raheem, who is a big fan of them boys, and they are playing tonight, the Dallas Cowboys. How nervous are you?
I'm not nervous at all. First things first, I got to make things clear. I'm a fan of the Dallas Cowboys, but I'm not really a fan of any of these teams. I'm a fan of Raheem Palmer. I'm a fan of his bankroll, and I'm a fan of getting this money. So I don't care who's on what side of the game. We're going to pick a winner.
He roots green, Ariel. He roots green, and not Kelly, Philadelphia Eagle green. You know what color green I'm talking about.
Not the Jets, who just lost one of their offensive linemen today, but we could get to that a little bit later. This is the Ringer Gambling Show presented by FanDuel, and the NFL is officially back. So if you're going to be in it with FanDuel. They got the goods, futures, live betting, SGPs, your way bets, all of it. The app's clean, it's fast, and yeah, when you win, you get paid instantly, which is nice because Sunday patience doesn't exist. So get your bets in, build something bold, and make every game feel bigger. Download the FanDuel app or head to FanDuel.com/gamblers to get started. The Ringer is committed to responsible gaming. Please visit rg-help.com to learn more from the resources and helplines available and listen to the end of the episode for additional details. You must be 21 and over, present in select states, or 18 and plus, present in D.C., Kentucky, Wyoming. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit rg-help.com. Call 1-888-789-777 or visit ccpg.org/chat in Connecticut. Okay, we've got Thursday Night Football coming up, and that means tonight is the NFL opener, which is going to be the Dallas Cowboys at the Philadelphia Eagles, those reigning champions. I saw this line move from the Eagles -7.5 as early as last week, now to -8.5. That steam moving on Philly, of course. So, JJ, you're wearing the green today. I'm going to start with you. The Eagles, can they cover an 8.5-point spread to start the season?
So I may be wearing Eagle Kelly green, Ariel, but I don't like this number at all from a Philadelphia perspective. And I know what the narrative is going to be. Hey, Micah Parsons is now a Green Bay Packer. Philadelphia, the reigning Super Bowl champs. Whoop the Kansas City Chiefs. Bringing the entire offense back. Hurts, Barkley, Devontae Smith, A.J. Brown, offensive line, on and on we go. But I have some questions about the back end of that Eagle defense. And if you look at the Cowboys with Dak Prescott as quarterback, they tend to play a lot of close games. I'm not saying that Dallas is going to go into Philadelphia and win this game outright, but I kind of have been of the mindset, despite the fact that a whole lot of people watching here on the YouTube stream, listening to our pod, are probably like, JJ, you're not going to take the dopey Cowboys, are you? Why are you going to be contrarian? Why do you have to go and be this way? I'm going to be this way because 8.5 is just way too many damn points. I'm sorry. I think this is a tight game. I think it is a close game. And Raheem, I think you're going to like this, buddy boy. I'm betting the Cowboys. I haven't bet the number yet because I'm waiting for it maybe to get to 9 before we get to kickoff, but I am absolutely taking Dallas.
So I don't think we're going to get to 9. This line opened at 6.5, and it's been bet up to 8.5 on the Eagles. Now, I'm right on market with my model. I'm at Eagles -7.5, but we all know about Super Bowl winners. They tend to dominate in week one, 21-4 straight up the past 25 seasons. And if you look at the last 7 seasons, Super Bowl winner is 7-2 straight up and 5-3 against the spread. Now, if you want to put that into math terms, the Super Bowl winner is worth about a point to the point spread. So you can almost add on an additional point. Now, you look at this Cowboys team. They got a brand new head coach in Brian Schottenheimer. They got a brand new offensive coordinator. They got a brand new defensive coordinator. And Dak Prescott did not play in the preseason. And I think that's really, really key. Now, I'm not really big on playing this game because, Dak Prescott's had some success against this Eagles team, but I think this Cowboys defense is abysmal. You're talking about 31st in rushing EPA per play, 29th in rushing success rate last year. And what do the Eagles like to do? They like to run the ball. And I think they're going to run the ball down the Dallas Cowboys' throat. Now, I'm not going to play the full game, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to jump off and play the Eagles in the first half, -4.5. I think the Eagles get off to a big start. And, our sponsor, FanDuel, is actually sponsoring trips to the game through Sept.
I saw that.
Yeah, they're bringing the Broad Street line back. So I think that place is going to be rocking. I think the Eagles get off to a nice big start, and there's probably a chance for the Cowboys to backdoor cover. But I think the Eagles, they're up by at least 7 at halftime.
I love going to the prop market in these primetime games. The Eagles, there was an underrated receiver, Jahan Dotson, who has great numbers, averaging just over 35 receiving yards per game against those Cowboys since 2022. At home, he's averaging 16 yards per game. On the road, just over 7. So home games actually matter for Dotson, who against Dallas, 6th most receiving yards per game allowed to wide receivers last year. Oh, and Dallas also allowed about 7.9 yards per attempt for wide receivers, which ranked 31st in the NFL. So if you're looking for an underrated name, Jahan Dotson could be your guy. And if you would like to fade somebody, then you could also look to Jake Ferguson under 34.5 receiving yards. So the tight end is getting one of the best tight ends defenses in the league against tight ends because the Eagles allowed the least yards per game to the position last season. Ferguson went under in 6 of 7 games last year when facing teams that are top 10 in the league against tight ends. Last year, the Eagles limited tight ends to just under 35 yards per game. Again, a league low. When you only see 32% of tight ends going over their prop last season against Philly, you know that they are very good, especially against these slot receivers or tight ends like a Jake Ferguson. So I would go under on Ferguson and over on an underrated name like Jahan Dotson. What do you guys think?
So I like it. I want to throw 2 names at you from a prop standpoint. I'm looking at number 2 receivers in this particular game. I think to Raheem's point on the Cowboy defense, fair and justified. Not a big time unit. Had a ton of problems last year. Devontae Smith shows up in these big games. I'm looking to play both Devontae Smith, Ariel, at 50+ receiving yards and George Pickens at +50 receiving yards. Those are 2 guys I'm looking to parlay together. I'm also going to take a stab. I know what the anytime touchdown market's going to be. You know it. I know it. Raheem knows it. Everyone's betting Saquon. Duh. Everybody's betting Jalen Hurts. Then you'll have a few CeeDee Lambs in there. Like the square, the chalk, that's going to come through. No. I like George Pickens. Maybe it's a backdoor cover for your boy late at the end of the game. But I get the sense Dak will look for him in the red zone. I like him to score. I think it's a good price. So you're the prop queen. I'm not the prop king. No thanks on that.
So
Hey, I'm definitely going to fade the public, though, because everybody is on Saquon Raheem.
So I don't have any props on this game, but one thing I want to talk about is the total.
Okay.
Because this opened up at 46.5, and the big prevalent sentiment was that the Cowboys are an over team. And I tend to agree. I think they don't have a great defense. And then obviously you trade Micah Parsons and the net line jumps up to 47.5. Question I have for you is you're the Cowboys backer. I actually believe that the total is correlated with the cover here because the only way that the Cowboys are going to cover this game or have a chance to win is if they go out there and score 21, 24 points. And put this in cover range. So are you willing to play the over?
So I think you're onto something where Dallas's offense absolutely has to put up points to have a chance. They're not going to win a low-scoring game. The only reason I'm a little hesitant on just a direct correlation, we've seen with these week 1 games in a lot of cases, sluggish, sloppy offensive play for whatever the reason. Now, Baltimore and Kansas City was a fun, freewheeling, entertaining week 1 game a year ago. But
yeah, we don't need to talk about the toe.
Well, I mean, listen, that's fine. I didn't even want to bring up Mark Andrews. I thought I was going to get in trouble.
It wasn't Mark Andrews. That's why I said it likely. Only the tight ends started and ended my season in misery. It's fine.
They sure did. You went there, not me. Be that as it may, That's why I'm a little concerned, because I'm saying, okay, maybe it's a sluggish game early. The offense picks up late. Dallas still covers. Under ends up hitting. I lean towards the over if I had to play the game. I am not going near the total, though.
That's the only thing that's keeping me off the total because I really wanted to play the over. I spoke about the quarterback stats, about quarterbacks who didn't play in preseason.
Yeah.
Neither one of these quarterbacks played in preseason. And if you look at these quarterbacks who don't play in preseason, almost 60% of them don't go over their team total. So that's what's killing me about this total because this should ordinarily be a smash spot for the over. But when you have two quarterbacks who didn't play in the preseason and they tend to come off to a sluggish start, and then you look at the Dallas Cowboys, they got a brand new head coach and a brand new offensive coordinator. And Brian Schottenheimer, we know he likes to run the ball. I could see him running the ball and getting stuffed. Ariel, do you have any props surrounding the Dallas Cowboys?
Well, outside of the under on Jake Ferguson and maybe an under on your running back Javonte Williams, I would say on the other side, when you're talking about running the football, I was looking at Jalen Hurts for running the football more because at home, Hurts actually averages just over 50 rushing yards a game, where on the road that drops off by about 20. You mentioned these quarterbacks not participating in the preseason. Well, if you don't have that chemistry and connection, and not because obviously the Eagles have the same receiving core, I'm talking just from early in the season woes, that maybe you start to run the football more. Also rushed for 56 yards last year against Dallas. And Dallas allowed the most rushing yards per game to quarterbacks last year, Raheem, which is a bit concerning when facing a mobile quarterback.
Yeah, I mean, that's the reason why I'm on the Eagles first half because I could easily see the Eagles coming out, taking some shots early, getting it going with the play action, Saquon having a big day, Jalen having a big day, and them kind of sitting on the lead in the second half. And, maybe the Cowboys throwing them their way back into this game. So I really like that Eagles first half.
Before we move into Friday night, anyone have any last words on Thursday Night Football, the opener for the NFL season?
Yeah, very simple. How about them Cowboys?
Oh boy. Hey, I don't mind taking
Come on,
the points
from one
because
JJ
it
to
just
another.
feels
I
like,
had to do it. Come
how
on.
about them Cowboys? Hey, listen, who has it better than us? Nobody. So Thursday Night Football, that's a wrap. Make sure, of course, you follow along here on YouTube. And if you miss anything, you can always go back here on the Ringer YouTube channel, subscribe, like, share, and you'll be able to get anything that you missed from the show live. Friday Night Football. We are absolutely blessed the opening week of the season to get Friday Night Football. And no, I'm not talking about high school Friday Night Lights. We've got the Kansas City Chiefs and the Los Angeles Chargers in a neutral site in division showdown. And it just feels for me, Raheem, that every time that the Chiefs and Chargers go head to head, you're going to get a close game. And it may not be close enough for a team to cover, but it might be close enough that you're sweating out whichever side you decided to take. And I know we're on opposite sides here. Raheem, who you got for Friday Night Lights?
I got the Chiefs. And I look at this Chargers team. They're not a team that I'm very high on coming into this season. You look at the Chargers. They couldn't score in the red zone last year. 18th in red zone touchdown percentage. And you look at the games that they played last year. They only played 7 games against playoff opponents. They were 2-5 against those opponents. And their wins came over Gardner Minshew, a bad Bryce Young, not the good Bryce Young, a bad Bryce Young, Bo Nix 2 times, Spencer Rattler, Jameis Winston, Will Levis, Kirk Cousins, Drake May, Aiden O'Connell, and then Joe Burrow. The only good quarterback they beat was Joe Burrow. So you look at this Chargers team, I don't see how they've gotten better. They've actually gotten worse. They were 6 in sacks last year, and they were only 18th in pressure rate. And now you lose 18 sacks between Morgan Fox, Joey Bosa, and Bud Dupree. So how are you going to get to Patrick Mahomes if you lose those guys? And then you look at offensively, like they don't have any weapons. Like Mike Williams retired. Like it's just who are they throwing the ball to? So I'm just not high on this Chargers team at all. And then you lose one of your best offensive tackles in Rashawn Slater. And I look at this Chiefs team, I feel like they've made some changes and they fortified the offensive line. Obviously, Rashid Rice is injured, but on a neutral field, Kansas City laying 3. I just think this is a bargain. So I think you got to take the Chiefs in this matchup.
So it's interesting. I agree with your overall assessment with Kansas City and the Chargers throughout the course of this year, but I'm going the other way in this matchup. I'm going to take the Chargers plus the points. And this to me is entirely due to the fact that Jim Harbaugh in these opening week games, going back to his time with the San Francisco 49ers, we saw last year with the Los Angeles Chargers, his teams come to play in week 1. I also look at this game and it kind of reeks of a rat line. It really does. I mean, I get the Kansas City Chiefs, to your point, only laying 3 on a neutral field against a team they absolutely own in the Chargers. That's a dirty little secret in these Charger-Chief games. Ariel, you hit on it. They are close. They are down to the wire, and the Chiefs normally find a way like they did at the end of last season in a Sunday Night Football game. I just get the sense, and I could be wrong on this, it's definitely not one of my strongest plays of week 1, but you're asking for a win on this game. I'm not going to be a coward. I'm going to give you a play on the game. That's what we do around here. I think the Chargers, from a significance standpoint, this game matters a lot more to them than it does to the Kansas City Chiefs. The Kansas City Chiefs are going to be fine if they lose this game. They lost an opener 2 years ago to the Detroit Lions. They ended up winning a Super Bowl. I almost feel this is one of those make or break week 1 games for Jim Harbaugh, for Justin Herbert, who I'm not the biggest fan of. I think he's incredibly overrated. I think the nerds love him. They all drew him. He's not a top 5 quarterback in the league, but I think you're going to get the very best out of this particular unit. I'm in on the Chargers for this particular spot. I'll fade the public, which I know is going to have a whole lot of Kansas City money, and I'll hold my nose, Ariel, and I'm going to take the Chargers +3.
Hey, I'm not sure, and I'll be honest, Raheem, my IFB went out, which is why we're having some technical difficulties over here in New York.
No, you missed all your brilliance on Kansas City.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, who would have thought that you guys would have had your stuff way more together out in Vegas than I do here in New York? But no surprise here. I'm an absolute mess when it first week of the season starts. Hey, listen, I don't mind that you want to take Kansas City here because I get it. Why fade Kansas City anymore? It always feels like you lose when it happens. For me, the Chargers just keep every game close, and I know that at the end of the day, I'm going to be feeling better on a Chargers side of the ball, where I know that Kansas City is losing their wide receiver Rashee Rice for the next at least 6 games. The Chargers, on the other hand, if you can make Trey Lance look like the quarterback that Jim Harbaugh did in the first game of the preseason, then Justin Herbert should look like an MVP this year. Year number 2 under Harbaugh. But I'm going to go with Will Dissly, a prop here, over 15.5 receiving yards for Chargers Will Dissly. So he's cashed this over in all 3 games against Kansas City, dating back to 2022, averaging just under 21 receiving yards per game. And last year, Dissly averaged 31 receiving yards a game. The Chiefs allowed the most receiving yards per game last year to tight ends, with 67% of tight ends going over their prop last season against those Chiefs. Guys, the Chiefs are terrible against tight ends, and it's not going to change this time around against Will Dissly. Anyone have any thoughts on any props?
Yes, I want to give you 2 guys I'm looking at, Ariel. One from a Charger perspective on the ground. The other one I'm going to be looking in the air from a Kansas City standpoint. Amarian Hampton, who has been a big talk of fantasy football, who has been a big talk on what the Chargers are going to look like in 2025. Raheem, you mentioned the idea that the Chargers are not going to be as successful a team as they were last year when they made the postseason. I would agree with that.
Yeah.
But I think what Harbaugh is looking to do, and this goes back to his days with the Niners with Frank Gore, this goes back to his days at Michigan as a college head coach. He wants to run the football. And I get the sense he is going to want to showcase his shiny new toy, which is Amarian Hampton. So I am going to take him over 50+ rushing yards at +104. Now, I like Ladd McConkey as well here at 70+ receiving yards. That's another one I'd give you from a Chargers standpoint. That's Justin Herbert's guy. Yeah. He gets open. He is able to make plays in space. I think he'll be heavily involved in the game plan. Now, from a Kansas City standpoint, Xavier Worthy. Year 2 jump.
Yeah.
Year 1, it was the feeling out process with Mahomes. It was, hey, how do I get comfortable in this offense? How do I get the rapport? How do I get the chemistry with the quarterback? You saw at the end of last year in the postseason, even in garbage time in the Super Bowl, this was a player that started to put up numbers. I'm staring his prop in the face at 60+ receiving yards. And I'm not laying juice on these props. I'm trying to get them in the 110, 115 market. That's what we do around here. I'm not giving you props at 180 or 190. Ariel's not going to do that either. We're too smart for that. Worthy over 60, McConkey over 70, Omarion Hampton. I hope I said his name right. I think I did.
You're willing to take a shot at someone you've never seen before at the NFL level.
Ariel, he's a Harbaugh guy. He's going to run the football.
Ariel, I got to call you out on this. You just mentioned Trey Lance in preseason, but he can't mention Omarion Hampton from preseason.
Hey, I'm not betting on Trey Lance. I said if Jim Harbaugh can make Trey Lance look good, then he should make Justin Herbert look better.
Okay.
Sure, but guess what? Herbert and the Chargers, their best friend is the new running back who they drafted. They got rave reviews for. Give him the damn ball.
Okay. I get nervous. I get nervous week 1 with a guy at a brand new level that we haven't seen, but it's a very low number, right? What number did you see on Marion Hampton?
50.
Here's what's making me nervous. They're playing in Brazil. And
No idea about the field, right?
We all watched the game last year between the Eagles and the Packers. I mean, guys were slipping all around the field. You had guys getting injured. So I just don't know what I'm going to expect. And I think maybe that could lend itself to more overs. So, I mean, I'm staying away from a lot of these props, but I am very scared of the field. And I got to say one more thing. Can't believe y'all are fading Andy Reid off of a bye. Like, are y'all crazy? 8-4 straight up in week 1, 10-2 against the spread. You're talking about Patrick Mahomes, week 1, 6-1 straight up, 5-2 against the spread. Y'all gonna fade that?
You're fading Harbaugh in week 1. Harbaugh in week 1 is pretty damn good.
That's true.
4-0 against the spread, Jim Harbaugh in week 1 in his NFL career. Hey, I'm Harbaugh bias. It's fine. But we're going to take a break for the podcast audience. Coming up, make sure to stay here on the Ringer Gambling Pod. And we've also got you guys on YouTube. So if you are tuning in on YouTube, make sure to subscribe, like, share. We love all the interaction and we love to hear from you guys. Week 1, we've got a bunch of big games coming up. And I am really excited because one of them features my Baltimore Ravens, who are getting redemption on the Buffalo Bills. I don't really like to call it redemption. At the end of the day, the Ravens lost in the playoffs and they died. So they're now into the next season. They're no longer or not at all. I don't have any faith in the Ravens in the postseason, but I do have some faith in them for week 1. The line flipped from the Ravens at +1.5 to now favoring the Ravens on the road in Buffalo at -1.5. Raheem, do you have any faith in the Baltimore Ravens to go back and avenge their playoff losses?
So you guys who have been listening to the Ringer Gambling Show the last couple of weeks know that last week I gave out the Baltimore Ravens +1.5. You look at that line right now on FanDuel Sportsbook, the Baltimore Ravens are favorites by -1.5. And I told you guys this would happen because you look at the Buffalo Bills, their whole secondary is in the hospital. And then the guys who are playing aren't very good. I mean, you look at rookie pick, Maxwell Hairston, he's on IR. Trey White, he's Larry Holmes status, flabby and sick. Like, what can you expect out of him at this point? They just signed Jordan Poyer. Like, they might as well have signed me, you, and JJ to play in the secondary. And I know Isaiah Likely is banged up. I don't care. The Baltimore Ravens are by far the better team here. And if you look at the Buffalo Bills last year, if you remove the plays in which they forced turnovers, they were 28th in EPA per play on defense, and they had a league-leading 33 takeaways. So if the Baltimore Ravens don't turn the ball over like they did in the postseason, and Mark Andrews doesn't, fumble and drop 2-point conversions, there's no way that the Buffalo Bills win this game. Give me the Baltimore Ravens. They win this. Honestly, I think you could sell points on this game. I think you could lay probably Baltimore -5.5. They're going to take them into the deep waters and they're going to drown them. They're going to step on them. Mark my words.
So I'm not just sucking up to you because it's your first show with us.
Oh, no. Are you guys going to clean sweep me?
Oh, you're damn right we're going to clean sweep. This is going to be a Ringer 107 play. I think when it's all said and done, we'll get into that a little bit later on. I love the Ravens as well. Raheem brought up some excellent points, but I'm going to look at this from a more emotional type of standpoint. This game should, in theory, mean everything to Baltimore. After what happened in the divisional round last year, at the end of the game, Andrews, the beginning of the game, Jackson, the idea that they've had to sit on now for about 6 months, a loss to Josh Allen, a loss in this particular building. And when you see the line move the way that it has, when you look at the revenge spot with Derrick Henry and his ability to go and dominate on the ground, then I hope the Baltimore Ravens don't forget, by the way, like they did in the divisional round game, that, hey, Derrick Henry is on their team and you want to give him the ball as much as humanly possible. But I am going to make it a family play, Ariel. We're taking the Baltimore Ravens. I like them as well. I think they win the game. I'm not going to mess with the 1.5. I'll play them on the money line. Baltimore outright.
I love that this is setting up for a decent teaser leg spot. So, like, I liked the Ravens at +1.5 to tease them up to 7.5. Now you can also tease up the Bills to 7.5, which gets you a nice little play. But I feel like those people who call a game on game day, like Herb Street, who doesn't give picks for the game that he calls. I'm not giving you a side for this because it just comes across as homer, so I appreciate all of you for supporting my Ravens week 1. This game looks like it could be an over. I know that the defenses are strong, especially the Ravens defense looks real strong, but early on in week 1, the Ravens secondary tends to struggle and they always let up big plays. I have a few props that we'll talk about in the next segment, but Josh Allen should go deep on the Ravens secondary. He should definitely test them. I could see it going over. I could see both defenses being rusty and both quarterbacks and offenses having a lot to prove, especially the Ravens. Everyone's probably going to be on Mark Andrews to score a touchdown. By the way, Mark Andrews said he kind of just like dismissed the whole, yeah, I don't really care. Like, we're going to Buffalo. Like, it is what it is thing. Because obviously, why does he care? He shouldn't care. It's not the playoffs anymore. So why should Mark Andrews be carrying in from last? Like, this isn't making up for what he did in the playoffs. Like, Mark Andrews knows that scoring a touchdown in week 1 doesn't make up for the playoffs. It's just another touchdown in the mind of Mark Andrews. So everyone could bet Mark Andrews to score a touchdown all they want. I really don't care. But there is a game that is a very fishy line. I always call it a fishy line. I know that you guys call it something different. The Green Bay Packers are -2.5 at home against the Lions. We are talking about a Packers offense that is without most of their wide receivers. You also have a quarterback that got a little banged up in the preseason, but non-throwing hand, whatever. Everyone in the world and their mother is going to be on the Detroit Lions because they're getting 2.5 on the road. And the Lions, on paper, should be the more well-rounded, healthier team, right? Well, JJ, then explain to me why this line feels so fishy with Green Bay laying 2.5 still.
So you call it fishy. I call it a rat. I smell a rat. You're 1,000% spot on. This line reeks to the high heavens. I think it's a couple of elements here. One, the Green Bay Packers are fast starters these last couple of seasons. Now, maybe you didn't see this 2 years ago when they got off to a sluggish start and then they ended up rallying, winning like 4 or 5 in a row to get to the playoffs. But you look at LaFleur, his teams are usually ready to go. Number one. Number two, Detroit. Everyone's looking at Detroit saying, hey, it's the same team from last year. Is it? You have a new offensive coordinator. You have a new defensive coordinator. Ben Johnson is out the door. Aaron Glenn is out the door. I know we all love Dan Campbell. I know we all love the talent on that particular roster. They're still a very talented team. I think the Green Bay Packers are the right side in the game. I think Jordan Love is a man on a mission this season. You mentioned the health of the wide receiver room for the Green Bay Packers, but they have a lot of interchangeable parts. They also have a lot of physicality that they bring to the table. Look, Detroit has played really well against Green Bay. They beat them in that regular season finale in Rodgers' last game back in 22. They took care of business in 23. Last year, they won both games, including a thriller on Thursday Night Football when the Lions basically had nobody on defense and Jared Goff had to go and win the game on 4th down. The Lions kept going for it. I think you're going to see a little aggression as far as 4th down is concerned. And I think Green Bay is going to be a much more complete offensive team than what they were a year ago. I like the Green Bay Packers, Raheem. That's how I play this game. It's Packers and pass.
So I actually don't think this line is fishy. This line opened up Lions -1.5, and it got bet to where it is now at Packers -2.5. I look at my model right now, the Packers are -2.6. That's where I have it. And I think one thing that you have to remember about the Green Bay Packers is that they probably have the highest home field advantage in the NFL outside of Denver. You're talking 4 to 5 points. So I think that matters. And you have 2 head coaches who they do get off the fast starts. I mean, you look at Dan Campbell, 11-3 against the spread in September. You look at Matt LaFleur, 15-6 against the spread in September. But I think the key here is that the Detroit Lions are not the same team. They got a new offensive coordinator. Ben Johnson is gone. They got a new defensive coordinator. Aaron Glenn is gone. And more importantly, we speak about those quarterbacks who don't play in the preseason. Jared Goff did not play in the preseason. Last time we saw him, he threw 4 interceptions. And now you're supposed to perform with a brand new offensive coordinator and Frank Radnow, Hall of Fame center. He retired. You lose Kevin Zeitler. He leaves. So now the offensive line, the strength of that team, the heart and soul of that team is not there. You got a new offensive coordinator. The quarterback doesn't play in the preseason. I think McNeil is hurt on defense. So you have all of these things going against the Detroit Lions, and that's why you have so many people selling on them. So I think you got to lay it here with the Packers. I mean, I can understand how it looks a little fishy because the Detroit Lions, they've been the cream of the crop the last 2 years. I mean, they were number one seed last year, 15-2, but I think this is the year they regress. And I think this is the year that you buy on the Green Bay Packers.
We love the Packers, Ariel. That's a future I had before the Michael Parsons trade at 22-1. And Detroit, remember, this is a team that wants to be able to run the football at a high level with Gibbs and with Montgomery. That Packer run defense, I think, will be up to the challenge. Green Bay is the play.
I like Green Bay laying 2.5. Just think that the number is telling you all you need to know, and knowing that the Packers are the favorites for a reason. And if they thought this was any closer, it would look like the Bills-Ravens game at -1.5. Raheem, you mentioned something that stood out. The Green Bay Packers being obviously having the home field advantage, one of the best in football. How much of that is because of weather later on in the season as opposed to just, crowd noise in September?
That's actually a good point. I probably need to study that a little bit more, but I think.
You don't got a metric on that?
Yeah, I don't have.
That's not your model?
That's not my model. I just know, like historically, the Green Bay Packers, I mean, their home field advantage has just been great. I mean, even like I mentioned the stats about LaFleur in September, and, a lot of those were home games as well. So I just think their home field advantage is just not something that you can't disregard it at all.
There was another line that is fishy if you've been tracking lines like I have the last week. I'm going to go to Mr. New York, New York for this one.
Okay.
The New York Giants have the line moving in their favor. Washington was +6.5. That number's now the Giants were +6.5 against Washington. That number's now come down to Giants +5.5. Everybody loves Washington. They are the public darling. Everyone likes them to potentially have value in winning the East over the Eagles, especially now that Dallas lost Micah Parsons. Yet the Giants are getting the love and the line movement. JJ, how much are you willing to start your season taking points with Big Blue?
Well, this is where I have to give my credit to Mr. Raheem Palmer, who said about a month ago when we were doing our NFC East division by division breakdowns, grab Giants +7 while you can, because it fell at 6.5. And to your point, Ariel, it's now all the way down to 5.5. And you asked me a question about my willingness to get on board with Brian Daboll, Russell Wilson, and a team that last year, no doubt, was the worst team in the NFL. I don't care that Tennessee had the #1 overall pick. The Giants were the worst team in the NFL. But guess what? It's not 2024 anymore. It's 2025. I'm on Big Blue, baby. I'm taking the points. I'm going to sprinkle a little on the money line. I think they are going to go to Washington and win in week 1. I hope you are not watching, Joe House, because the point you made about the Washington Commanders and regression, I think is totally fair, justified, and beyond reasonable. I love Jaden Daniels. He's a stud. Is he playing 17 games again? Are they going to be as good on 4th down? Their defense still leaves a lot to be desired. They added an incredible amount of age to that team. You had the whole McLaurin situation throughout training camp. Raheem, I still like the Giants in this spot. I know people are going to say you're not getting the best of the number here. You're not. But guess what? They're going to win the game.
Yeah, so there's a lot of trends for the Giants. Dogs, 78-62 against the spread, 56% in week 1. Dogs that missed the postseason last year in week 1, 59-45, 57%. Divisional dogs, 31-16, 66%. Now, let's look at this line. Last year, the Commanders, on September 15th, the Commanders were laying 1 against the Giants. They won 21-18 in a game the Giants should have won.
Giants screwed it up.
They could not kick the game-winning field goal. The field goal kicker got hurt. They go for it on 4th down. The Commanders drive down, kick the game-winning field goal. So they lose that game in a game they should have won. November 3rd, Commanders, they're laying 4. They win 27-22. How the hell do you get the 7? And now we're at 5.5. How do you even get the 5.5 with a better Giants team? Look at that defensive line. They add Abdul Carter to a unit that already had Kayvon Thibodeau and Brian Burns. One of the best defensive lines in the league. Russell Wilson. A lot of people going to say Russell Wilson. Larry Holmes status. Flabby and sick. That guy can still throw the deep ball. And against this Washington secondary, you're talking about a team that's bottom 10 in EPA per play. Russell Wilson should be able to cook. Now, more importantly, you're going to get some regression from this Washington Commanders team. You're talking about a team that went 20 of 23 on fourth down, 87%. They couldn't be stopped on fourth down. They're the greatest team of all time. And then you look at the quarterbacks they played last year. Daniel Jones, Andy Dalton, Caleb Williams, Daniel Jones again, Cooper Rush. They lost to Cooper Rush. Will Levis, Jake Hayner, Spencer Rattler, Kenny Pickett, Trey Lance, Deshaun Watson, and they beat Joe Burrow. We might as well have said they played Ariel, JJ, and Raheem. So, yeah, give me the Giants.
Yeah, basically what Raheem is saying, Ariel, bet the Washington Commander under for the year, which is something I already did, and I'm glad Joe House...
Under 9.5 wins?
Under 9.5 wins.
Far?
I'm
not going that far, but I'm fading them this weekend.
That's right.
Hey, Giants, Packers, those two lines standing out to both of us, all three of us going into week one. Definitely be wary of them. You should at least go 1-1. I always say the fishy lines tend to like break even at 500, but the Giants are the book, is what the book has told me. Every odds maker I've spoken to has said that the Giants is where they're getting all of their really smart money on for weeks now. And I know that Raheem and JJ, two of those guys. There was a line with -2.5 on those San Francisco 49ers that stood out because the Seattle Seahawks, brand new team. Sam Darnold coming over to be their quarterback. Cooper Kupp is now a wide receiver. Just everything that we remember the Seattle Seahawks to be within the last 3 years is no longer. The 49ers, on the other hand, a team I'm very high on this year. They have the easiest schedule in the NFL. They return eventually to some point when everyone gets healthier, a team of Super Bowl contended players. Everyone was in it. Brock Purdy got his big deal. It feels almost disrespectful. Now, I know the Niners are on the road in Seattle, which tends to be a tough place and a loud place to play as well. The 49ers just know what they've got, and they've got their defensive coordinator back from when they went to a Super Bowl. So I just like the 49ers a lot. I think their defense is going to be more improved, and as long as they stay healthy, this team knows what it takes to win, and they're going to be a really tough defense for the Seattle Seahawks to get through. Raheem, thoughts on San Francisco laying 2.5 in Seattle?
So I think this was another one I gave out too, right? San Francisco -1.5. It's now 2.5. At the current number, I'm a little bit suspicious because the 49ers come into this matchup a little bit banged up. Jawan Jennings has been banged up. Brandon Ayuk is still out. And if there's one thing we could say about the Seattle Seahawks team is that they're a really good defense. Mike McDonald, I mean, he's just been tremendous. You saw what he did with your Baltimore Ravens. He comes to Seattle, and they had a top 12 defense per EPA per play and success rate. So I'm struggling with this one just because I just feel like the 49ers are a little bit banged up. I kind of want to buy back on Seattle. I don't really want anything on the side in this matchup, but I think this could be a sneaky under. Like I really do. And a big reason
total dropped by a point in the last week.
I think the problem with this game is that, and the problem with the Seahawks in general is that you got Sam Darnold, who I believe is a complete fraud. Like he played with the Minnesota Vikings, KOC, one of the best head coaches in the league. You saw the receiving weapons he had over there. You saw the offensive line. This Seattle offensive line is abysmal. It's not the same offensive line. And even though he does have, what's my guy's name? JXN. He has him. He could throw the ball to him. He's not going to have time to throw. So I think this is probably a lower scoring divisional matchup, but I don't want anything to do with the side.
So a lot of the trends in this game are probably going to point to Seattle with those home divisional dogs. You're going to hear that. You're going to see that a lot throughout the course of this week one card. You have a couple of these games that kind of fit that motif. Tampa and Atlanta fits that motif. This game kind of on brand. We talked about the Chiefs and the Chargers. If I were playing this game, and this is not going to be a part of my 5 for what it's worth, not one of my favorite plays of the week, I lean towards San Francisco. I have too many questions about the Seattle offense. Raheem mentioned the offensive line. I wonder about what Sam Darnold is going to look like now in a new environment. And I also look at San Francisco as one of those teams that just came off a year from hell. Everything went wrong for them a year ago. And you get McCaffrey back. You have a healthy George Kittle, Brock Purdy, something to prove, a little bit of a chip on his shoulder, and a revenge game for a meltdown the Niners had against Seattle going back to last season. Not one of my favorites, Ariel, so I won't be playing this one, but we make a pick because that's what we do around here. Niners, 2.5.
I also like that San Francisco can use their running back, Christian McCaffrey. And obviously they've got more of a loaded backfield. But of course, Christian McCaffrey going up against the Seattle defense that struggled against the run for large parts of last season. So that could help dictate pace of play for San Francisco as well. It is my first day here at the Ringer. In honor of my first day, and for anyone who's new, you know that I'm known as the prop queen. And I love my props. It's the best way to take advantage of the NFL because we know the NFL lines are super sharp. They have all week to go and try and bait us and get us. The prop market, it is a lot tougher because there are so many options. I have 5 props for the guys. I have my reasons for liking them, and I'm going to ask the guys if they like it. So we'll start with my game of the week, the Baltimore Ravens and the Buffalo Bills. Starting with Bills quarterback Josh Allen to go over his 30.5 pass attempts. In the first game of a season, Josh Allen has gone over this number in all but 2 week ones, last year and his rookie season. Otherwise, it's like 5 of the last 6. Josh Allen has gone over 30.5 pass attempts in week 1. This should be a high fly scoring affair. Raheem, I know props isn't always like what you love to do, but can you see Josh Allen throwing the football a lot this weekend?
I can, because I can see them getting behind in this game. So I'm not mad at this one.
Yeah, I endorse it too, Ariel.
Endorse this one.
Because of the game script.
Yeah.
We like Baltimore in the game. You figure Josh Allen late's going to have to be chucking some more. I'll give you a check mark there.
Sticking with that game, Justice Hill, the Ravens running back, over 14.5 receiving yards. He's getting a Bills defense that allowed like the bottom 5 most receiving yards to running backs last season. JJ, thoughts?
I think you're probably getting a good number. The only fear I would have is how much you're going to see him on the field. And I guess that's the question with that particular prop. Are you going to get a lot of Justice Hill on third down? Are they going to keep Henry in a little bit more, or are they going to kind of protect Derrick Henry? I like the Josh Allen one a little bit more on the 2 that you gave me there, but I'm not going to talk you out of it, Ariel. I know it's a play. I get it.
It's better than me taking a side. Okay, Raheem. The Jacksonville Jaguars, I actually am pretty high on them this year. People are sleeping on them. They should have a better season. They have a great matchup this week for a running back. And I like Travis Etienne to go over 40.5 rushing yards. He's getting Carolina, who was one of the worst run Ds in the league, went over in 5 of 6 at home last year. 69% of running backs went over their rushing yards prop last season when facing the Panthers. How much faith do you have in Travis Etienne?
So I don't like this one. And the reason why is a guy by the name of Tank Bigsby. I think he's the better running back. How much do you foresee him taking over the majority of the snaps as this season goes by, and even in week 1?
I get it, but week 1, maybe you go to the guy that you know best, especially against the team. But again, you could have Travis Etienne over rushing and receiving. He's got a good ability outside.
That's definitely fair.
Out of the backfield.
Ariel, you better hope he doesn't fumble the ball like he did against Miami in week 1 last year.
Yeah, I
and they put his ass on the bench.
That's one of my biggest concerns. It's just like I feel like Tank is going to be the guy. Okay. Not Tank Davis. Tank Bigsby is going to be the guy. And, so...
Travis Etienne and Trevor Lawrence, 2 very highly sought out college football players that just haven't amounted to what we thought at the NFL level. Kyle Pitts, he's very hit or miss, and Atlanta gets Tampa Bay. Kyle Pitts actually went over 38.5 receiving yards in all 6 games that he's faced the Bucs dating back to 2021. JJ, how willing are you to put some money on Kyle Pitts?
See, I'll give you an endorsement there, Ariel. You brought the numbers up that he has against Tampa. I just also would look at it and say, okay, the Atlanta Falcons going to be able to run it on the Tampa defense, or they're going to be able to expose them a little bit more in that secondary? I think the way you go and attack Tampa is by throwing the football. So that means Drake London. That means Kyle Pitts. I like those guys to go and put up points in a game that I think should be back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. I like a whole lot of offense between the Falcons and the Buccaneers. I think that will be one of the more entertaining games in the early window. So I didn't love the ETN one. I'll give you a check mark on Pitts.
Yeah, I'm co-signing this one just because I think that Bucs defense leaves a lot to be desired at this point. The only concern is, of course, Michael Penix. He did not play in the preseason. I keep telling you about these quarterbacks. They don't play in the preseason. They don't get no reps, no practice. I don't know. Everybody turning to Allen Iverson. They don't want to. They just don't want to be out there for the game. It's killing me. And I think that's the one concern. But I really like this one.
Okay, you guys all sign off on Kyle Pitts then. That was the one I was the most uncertain about. Last one. We might all agree here, maybe. We just talked about this game. Sam Darnold making his first start for the Seattle Seahawks, getting a really tough San Francisco 49ers defense. His passing yards prop is 204.5, and that was a number that Sam Darnold went over many times last year with the Minnesota Vikings. Now getting the San Francisco 49ers, Raheem, Sam Darnold in a new offense. It's kind of low at 204.5, but I feel like it's low for a reason.
So we have a saying around here. I know you're new. This your first day. I like to bet against human achievement. And I love that you're betting against human achievement right now, especially against a guy who I think is a complete fraud without Justin Jefferson. So I think I can ride with this. And it's correlated with the fact that I like the under on the full game. So I can ride with you.
Here's the only problem I have with it, Ariel. If San Francisco gets off to a lead and Sam Darnold's not going to get benched and he's playing for 4 quarters, could he go and hit that total in some extended garbage time if the game is not particularly close? That would be my fear with going under. I don't like Seattle in the game. I'm not suggesting that I think that Sam Darnold is going to play well on Sunday, but with a total that low, you could run into some trouble maybe at the end of this game where you sweat it out. So I would stay. I'm not going to talk you out of it. I know you like it for a reason. I would just stay away there.
196 Sam Darnold passing yards this coming week. That's my number on Sam
Okay.
Darnold. It's enough for me to sweat. Enough for me to sweat it out. Okay, we're going to take a break for the podcast crew. For everyone listening on podcasts, thanks for tuning in. We're going to take a break here. Reminders for listeners on YouTube. Subscribe, like, share. We love getting to interact with all of you guys over at the YouTube channel, and thanks everybody for tuning in. You got to bear with me because I learned about this about a day or two ago. Here at the Ringer, we are doing something called Ringer 107. It is going to be a ton of fun because we are going to essentially all across the Ringer platforms compete against each other. Today's Ringer 107 is brought to you by FanDuel. So it is a pick'em contest, which is going to include this show. Shout out to us, Bodega Locks.
That's
Sal
right.
and DeBundo, Fantasy Guys, Bill Simmons and House, and Chill are all going to participate. We're all picking 5. Every single show is going to pick 5 different spreads throughout the season. At the end of the year, we'll see who does best. The 3 of us are going to come up with 1 each and then somehow agree on 2 together so that we get 5 total picks. And I can't wait for every week one of us to tell each other that we ruined it and that the other person should probably do something and sit in timeout. I don't know. We should come up with something for the loser.
Some sort of punishment, maybe a shirt, or maybe, I don't know, it's like a little pin we got to wear. We don't want to get ourselves in trouble.
Like I'm a loser or something.
Yeah, we have a week or two to think about this. I mean,
you don't need any punishment because at the end of the day,
we're a team.
We're going to win as a team. We're going to lose as a team.
That's right.
I thought you liked to see people in pain.
Yeah, not us, though. We want to see, but we want to
inflict pain on them, and we really want to inflict pain on the boss man.
That's right. We're coming for you, Simmons. That's right.
We're coming for you, Bill Simmons. That's what I was going to text him this morning when he said, "Welcome to the team." I was going to say, Bill, don't be upset that you brought me on.
No, he said our odds at plus 400.
He said, I'm bringing the group down. You know what, Raheem? I take that personally. Let's go. Let's go.
Ringer 107. Let's do it. We are called Bodega Locks. It is week 1. Let's get our Bodega Locks in, starting with JJ. Who'd you got?
Okay. We have not touched on this game yet, but we're going to touch on it now. And I hope I get a blessing from you, Mr. Raheem Palmer, and from you, Miss Ariel Epstein. Aaron Rodgers is making his return.
Oh, no, I'm going to throw
Live
up.
Stadium. I know, Ariel, the Pittsburgh Steelers are a team that's near and dear to your heart. You mentioned earlier in the show, Elijah Vera Tucker not going to be suiting up for the New York Jets. The Pittsburgh Steelers can get after the quarterback. Mike Tomlin knows everything there is to know about Justin Fields. You're telling me Aaron Rodgers is going into MetLife Stadium and is losing to this Jet team? I don't see it. This is my play. There's another one I like that I think we're going to all be on board with, so I'm saving it for our family play. My individual play, the Pittsburgh Steelers laying 2.5.
You're
against
really
the
going
New
to
York
make me
Jets.
root for the Steelers week 1. I hate
Yes,
you.
I am. Get on board. Aaron Rodgers. Let's go.
Raheem, make me feel better.
Yeah, we're going to go with Baltimore. You guys know all the reasons. I did my monologue earlier. There's no reason to do another one.
All right, so we got the Steelers and the Ravens. I mean, this is like having the Yankees and the Red Sox basically together, or the Cubs and the Cardinals, whatever. Take your pick. So I'm giving you the Steelers. Raheem's giving you your beloved Baltimore Ravens. Now, what are you bringing to the table?
We
Miss
balanced
Epstein?
it out. I'm bringing you a team that none of us care about. The Jacksonville Jaguars laying 2.5 in our pick'em contest.
Wow,
I'm
it
going
went
with the
down.
approach.
Sorry to cut you
is it
off there. It went down to 2.5.
Or 3.5. Sorry, 3.5.
Okay, I mean, I'm just making
3.5,
sure we have
sorry.
the line right.
I would love
Three
to
and a
be
half. I was
cheat.
reading the wrong number.
I would
Three
love
and
to
a
be able to
half.
cheat, but
Jacksonville.
I
It
think
was
we can
3 to
cheat.
3.5.
No, we got to be fair and balanced here. Where
3
people,
to 3.5 is where the line moved on Jacksonville. I'm taking the approach that I took last year, where I had the Patriots to upset the Bengals. That was probably my favorite week 1 call of my life. If you could get a team that could run the football against a very bad run D, then go and take them. And that's exactly what we had with this Jacksonville team, who, as we mentioned, I mentioned Travis Etienne. You've also got Tank Bigsby, which is what Raheem mentioned with that two-headed monster backfield against the Carolina Panthers, who were the worst run D last year in football. And even though the Panthers are young and maybe in a year or two they could be contenders, I am not high on the Carolina Panthers offensively to stay in this game. So as long as the Jaguars can maintain pace of play, time of possession, run the football against this bad run D, the Jaguars should be able to cover this one at 3.5, which is why you're seeing the steam move in favor of Jacksonville nonetheless at
So,
home.
Aria, I'm so glad you picked this one because this was one I had my eye on as well. And I actually gave this out on Monday as well. In Monday's show, the Panthers, first they trade Adam Thielen, and then Jalen Coker gets hurt. So that's really going to impact their offense. And then they lose their left tackle. So they come into this game and they're not as strong as what people thought they would be, going into week 1. And you look at both of these two teams. Panthers are 32nd in defensive EPA per play, 32nd in defensive success rate. The Jaguars defense is not good either, but I think in this particular game, the Jaguars offense should be better. Obviously, you got second-year receiver Brian Thomas, who tore things up.
Solid.
You add Travis Hunter to the mix. I just think with Liam Cohen, he's going to turn this Jacksonville Jaguars team around. So I really like this one.
and one thing to note here on Carolina, Ariel, I think a lot of folks are looking at Bryce Young and what he did at the end of last year, and they're kind of throwing the expectations totally out of whack. He put up a ton of stats against crummy defenses in a whole lot of games that meant diddly squat. I am always very careful and very hesitant to overreact to what you see from a losing football team in December games when they are out of it. It's like a baseball team that plays well in the month of September. When they are out of it, you do not put stock in that and the idea that it's going to carry over into the next year. I think it's still a lot of growing pains and learning on the fly for Carolina. I'm with you. I endorse Jacksonville -3.5. I think it's a good play.
Very young and fun offense, but not willing to trust those receivers yet. There were 2 games that we did agree on, and we have 2 more that we have to do for Ringer 107. So we already agreed we're doing Baltimore, Pittsburgh, and we've got the Jaguars. The 2 games that we agreed on earlier were Green Bay and the New York Giants.
Oh, we got to do it. Ariel, listen, I know we're not getting the best of the number, and this usually is going to bother our guy, Raheem Palmer, because Raheem loves being ahead of the market. This is a guy who moves markets, for goodness sakes. But we are so united, and we are showing right out of the gate, hey, united front in week 1, Danny Dimes, sayonara, Russell Wilson, Brian Dable, and the Giants, Raheem. We're taking a +5.5. Let's go.
New York, New York. Let's get it.
We've got to rep the New York Ringer podcast with our guy, JJ, John Jastremski, and Stefan.
And Ariel, I need at least a season of watchable football for these 2 teams. It will.
You're asking for both
enhance
the Giants and the Jets to be watchable, or was that the Giants and the Dolphins?
Well, I mean, the Jets can be watchable except for the 2 games against the Miami Dolphins and in week 1, by the way, because I'm betting the Pittsburgh Steelers. So I don't want to be willing that into existence for Aaron Glenn. But Giants here, I think we're going to have a very happy Sunday with that outcome. I do. I feel really good about that game.
I feel way too good about our Bodega Locks. So Bodega Locks week 1 picks are in Ringer 107. We are
So
coming.
we got one more to get to.
What?
It's okay. No. So the last one. I
Oh,
just
the
want to make
Packers.
sure
You want
on
to talk
record.
about them real quick?
No, I do. We're aligned on Green Bay, right? Like even with the Parsons uncertainty going into the game, you think it's a fishy line. I think it's a rat line. I think Green Bay is a team on a mission, much better offensively, much better love. And Raheem, is it boiled down to new coordinators for the Lions and a feeling out process first few weeks?
Yeah, I think that's what it boils down to. Are you guys sure you want to go with the Packers, or do you guys have another one? Because I know he likes Miami. I actually like the Packers.
Let me throw this in there. You say I like Miami. It's true.
Yeah.
But I think we always have to be careful with yours truly and a Dolphin game, right? Like where emotion can get in the way.
Yeah.
Look at that game and I say, Dolphins should be favored. They're a better team than Indianapolis. Tua, when he plays, they win. I know the Dolphins secondary revamped, a lot of new faces. Offensive line, I think it's a question going into the game. Danny Dimes is a starter. I mean, other than the 2022 season, the guy does nothing but lose. He does nothing but not cover. I don't think we should play it, Ariel. It's a little fishy with Indy being favored, maybe down to a pick 'em. But if I had to play that game, I would be on Miami. But I don't want to get out of Green Bay. I don't.
I actually like the Texans.
Ooh, okay. That threw us a little bit of a curveball.
I think the biggest thing is that I always talk about these quarterbacks who didn't play in preseason. Well, this quarterback, Matthew Stafford, 37 years old. He's not quite Larry Holmes status, Flavian sick yet, but he around the corner. I mean, you talking about a guy who was in the 20s in EPA per play last year, and he didn't practice this preseason because he had an epidural on his back. So if you're telling me this guy is going to just come off of no practice in training camp, not playing in preseason, and going to be able to score on this Texans defense, and I know the Texans, they don't have the best offensive line. I know they're a little banged up, but I actually think the wrong team is favored here. So I like the Texans. I mean, if I had to just throw one into the pile, that's one I would throw.
See, I just worry about that Texan offensive line going up against the Ram defensive front. That to me is a total stay away. I have no interest in betting that game. Like when I was going through the card, Ariel, and I'm like this game, don't like this game, cross off in. That was an immediate cross off for me because I want to see what the Texan offense looks like with the new offensive coordinator. How does their line look in 25? And we all are wondering what Matthew Stafford, after another year older, all of these questions about the epidurals and his body and how he's feeling going into the season, how he's going to look. That's what I'm going to sit back and watch on. So I don't. You may play that. You might want to give that as a best bet, but I don't want to include that in the Ring of 107.
Ariel, do you have one that you want to throw into the hat that we just didn't talk about?
I could throw into the hat the Atlanta Falcons. It's a divisional rivalry to start the season. You know it's probably going to be split 1-1 throughout the year. This one's the home game for the Falcons. I know that you're not going to want this, Raheem, because the quarterback didn't participate in the preseason. We got it. But yeah. Atlanta still, if you're going to think this is a high-scoring game, Green Bay is favored by 2.5 at Lambeau, and the Falcons are only a 1.5-point dog in Atlanta to a Tampa team that everybody is telling me is going to win this division no problem. I don't think it's going to be no problem for Tampa Bay. Everyone has a bit more experience in the South. I mean, minus the Saints this year. This is always a division of 2 or 3 teams that are just above 500. If it's going to be high scoring with that, I mean, 47.5 is not that high of a total. But you could throw Atlanta in the hat as a 1.5-point dog at home.
I'm willing to. So I know I always talk about the quarterbacks in the preseason, and this one really hurts. This one's a little bit mind-boggling because Michael Penix, he's played 4 games. How can you not get him snaps in the preseason? Like that bothers me.
Excellent point.
Like that really
is weird
to me. But when I look at my model, I think the wrong team is favored, particularly when you look at the fact that the Buccaneers come into this matchup banged up. Tristan Wirfs is out. The defense is, what is the defense?
Especially in the secondary.
Chris Godwin is out. So this is one I can get with, especially when you consider how home divisional dogs do in week 1. So I kind of with you, but it's hard. Like I wouldn't mind putting this in the contest.
We all threw one in the hat. Can any of us bend?
I mean, I'm a team player.
Or we could do a money line parlay. We could do
but what's the advantage for us to do that at this point?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying, dude?
Yeah.
Like to me,
now
if we're
you're
the
picking
money
3
line parlay, we got to
teams.
take
Why
the big
are we
favorites.
picking extra teams when we already have to pick 5?
It's an excellent
Yeah.
point. Ariel, I'm out on the parlays.
Yeah.
I wish they weren't a part of the contest. But
Everyone go through. So I said Atlanta. Everyone go through the last two.
I don't love Atlanta.
Okay, JJ doesn't
gonna
love
tell you
Atlanta.
why.
Atlanta, you said you liked JJ, you liked Miami?
Yeah, but I don't want to include Miami. I think we go with our gut here.
You wasted all of our time talking about your Miami Dolphins to then say you don't even want to throw them in the hat.
I'm just throwing the game in there. So hold on a second. We have your Ravens.
We
have the Steelers. Oh, we need one more.
Yeah, we just need one more.
Well, you have to make this pick then.
We have.
Hold on a second.
So it's Houston, Miami, or Atlanta. Who do we want to go with for our final pick?
You make the pick.
Get out of here.
Like, just to be clear, our 4 picks right now are
Pittsburgh,
Baltimore, Jaguars,
Giants. No. Oh yeah, you picked Jacksonville.
Jaguars and
Giants, and then the Packers.
You want to go with the Packers?
We all like the Packers.
Jesus Christ. This is what I said at the beginning.
Hey, do you know what? That's what makes it fun. We went through the exercise, we talked it through, and we came to a consensus.
God, I hope the audience doesn't hate us at this point.
No, the audience should appreciate the thought process and the rationale for what we're doing here. We're throwing all of the...
We all just got into a fight for no reason.
Not gonna lie.
I said Green Bay.
But
okay.
Y'all pick.
Green Bay.
Green Bay.
Green Bay. Stick with our gut. Let's not get cute.
You are so lucky you guys are in Vegas. I would have punched you all in the face at this point. So we are going Green Bay -2.5. Jacksonville -3.5. Ravens, I guess we're locking in -1.5. Giants +5.5.
We're doing the money line. And the reason why we're able to do the money line is because I think the Ravens on the money line is -112.
I thought it was just a pick'em contest for spreads.
Well, they said we could do money lines of -120 or lower.
So we'll take it. We don't want to lose by one, Ariel.
And actually, they're -110 right now on FanDuel Sportsbook. So give us the Ravens money line.
Raven money line. Boom.
All right. Ravens money line, Pittsburgh Steelers, Green Bay Packers, New York Giants, and who was our third one? I mean, our fifth one. I'm leaving out Raheem's, I think.
Packers, Jags.
I left out my
Giants.
Okay, we're a mess. We're an absolute mess. We need to plan this better next time.
No, I actually think this is fun. I enjoy the chaos. I enjoy the thought process and how the meal is cooked.
Enjoy the chaos, and you want the big.
It's organized. That's no fun. This is more fun.
I know. He's a radio guy. He doesn't come in with a show rundown. He just does radio for 5 hours
I'm a pretty TV guy. I'm a podcast and a pretty TV guy now too. Don't forget about that. Don't forget about.
Pretty TV guy and new daddy. Okay. Let's see who your daddy is because we're going best bets. We got best bets here. And by the way, Ringer 107. Today's Ringer 107 brought to you by FanDuel. Odds subject to change. And we don't want anybody to get annoyed with us for being on for longer than an hour. But we are all excited because the NFL is kicking off tonight between the Dallas Cowboys and the Philadelphia Eagles. So, Raheem, best bets going into the first weekend of NFL season.
All right, we're going to go Ravens money line. Next, we're going to go Texans Rams. First half under 22.5. You got 2 bad offenses. You got a 37-year-old quarterback who needs an epidural. You got a bad offensive line for the Texans. I think that first half is going under 22.5. Next, we're going to go with Texans first half. Texans +3 on the full game. And then finally, for our final pick, Jaguars Panthers over 46.5. You got 2 of the worst defenses in the league last year. Going up against each other, I think you're going to see some points in this matchup. That's my best bets.
So for me, Ariel, it's going to be what we just pulled out of the Ringer 107. I think the New York Giants, very, 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 very live to go and win in Washington in week 1. We don't need them to win. We need them to cover 5.5. That is a play we're going to make. And then we're going to throw in a little money line parlay just for you. The Pittsburgh Steelers parlayed with the Green Bay Packers. Another 2 of our Ringer 107 plays. I'm not going to mess with the points. Steelers to win. Packers to win. We're all in as the Bodega Locks start off with a bang.
Big team guy, Bodega Locks. All right, my best bets. We are going with Will Dissly tomorrow, over 15.5 receiving yards. He's cashed this in all 3 games against Kansas City dating back to 2022, averaging just under 21 receiving yards a game. Last year, the Chiefs were the worst defense in the NFL against the tight end position. And last year, Dissly averaged 31 receiving yards a game. So this is way too low at 15.5. It's week 1. We forget about these kinds of players. Will Dissly goes over tomorrow night in the Chiefs and Chargers game. And if I had to pick a spread that was my favorite, it would be the Jaguars -2.5, which shout out to Bodega Locks. And my best bet tonight, I mentioned them earlier in the show. So If you missed it, Jake Ferguson under 34.5 receiving yards, getting an Eagles D that was the best against tight ends last year. And Jahan Dotson over his receiving yards. He secretly is averaging 35 receiving yards a game against the Dallas Cowboys in his career, who also, they struggle against wide receivers. So those are my favorite plays for tonight, tomorrow, and this weekend. Any last words, Raheem?
Let's just win. Let's just win. That's all
Is
it's
that for
about.
you or the Cowboys?
I don't care about the Cowboys. I told you, I'm a fan of Raheem Palmer.
Hey, guess what, Raheem? Tonight, I care about the Cowboys. How about them Cowboys, Ariel? That's my parting thought, okay?
Well,
How
as long
about
as the
them
Eagles cover
Cowboys?
the
My
first
parting
half,
thought
they can do what
is
they want in
that
the
I
second
hope
half.
JJ makes it home from Las Vegas safe and sound for his daughter.
Thank you. The
Don't
Red
forget
not
you
be
have
pleasant
a
later on this
college
evening.
fund now. She has to go to
Believe it or
Duke.
not, thankfully we already deposited to that earlier this month.
Oh, okay, good. I'm very, very glad for your wife that you didn't burn their whole life savings in Vegas. For me, I'm the prop queen, Ariel Epstein. For everybody here over at the Ringer Podcast, thank you all. Stefan hanging out with me and making sure my IFB worked, which it didn't, but that's my fault. So hopefully next week you won't see me going like this the whole show because my IFB kept going in and out. So it was
we got to get you.
choppy.
You got to charge that baby up, Ariel.
It's
Let's
not
go.
dead, it's broken.
He was
It's
moving
the
like
beginning
he
of
had
the
ear
season.
infection.
So
It looked
every
bad
other
over there.
time that I stop this, I stop hearing you. So I have to like mix it around. Anyway, no one cares about my problems. My problem is that I need to win money this week. Next Ringer Gambling Show is going to be tomorrow at noon Eastern. Cousin Sal, Danny Heifetz, Anthony DeBundo, and Playmaker Mike and the Playmaker and Mike Irvin. So make sure to tune in tomorrow, noon Eastern time here on the Ringer Podcast for JJ, John Jastremski, and Raheem Palmer. I am the prop queen, Ariel Epstein. We will see you next Thursday here at noon Eastern, like we will the rest of the season.